Project 95 is relentless. They played so many shows. I'm only just realizing this now that I'm talked myself into doing videos for every show. Like, this goes to December. Like, I mean, technically it goes to New Year's Eve. Like, that's the last show. And a lot of the Jam Boys, you won't see any of the, I mean, here's the thing. The Jam Boys is it's been a very fluid, it's been 30 years in the making. So there are Jam Boys who are not officially Jam Boys. The only official Jam Boys are the ones that were at SPAC in the summer, just because I thought of it. Like, I thought to do the shirts and make it into this whole thing, and then have a Instagram account and a YouTube channel and whatever. Like, but there are, like, Chris is a Jam Boy, Kevin's a Jam Boy, Spencer's a Jam Boy. All the people I met on tour are 100% Jam Boys. And Marty McCabe is 100% a Jam Boy. Anyone who's basically gone to a show with me before is a Jam Boy, let alone multiple shows. So if you're out there, you need the next Jam Boys event is New Year's Eve 2025. I think a bunch of us are going the 29th and 30th. So there'll be a new shirt, there'll be a get-together, and we'll be jamming, as Jam Boys do. So get yourself down there to the city, bro. It's what's happening. So we're at 10/6/95, October 6th, 1995. For those of you who don't know what month October is, apparently. October 6th, 1995, Orpheum Theatre, Vancouver, British Columbia. Like I said many times before, our first sort of border crossing for the tour. And only border crossing for the tour. So that brought with it some sort of particular struggles, in that I drove to the show at everybody. So it was me, Chris, Kevin, Brandon, and Spencer in the sled. The sled had no problem carrying 5 people. No, I think I took my mattress out, put the seat up. Yeah, we did it right. But the big issue was, and again, 1995, customs was a thing. So we were gonna get stopped at the border, and I mean, the sled, you'll find as the tour goes on, the sled was a target. It was just screaming, pull me over and search me so that you can arrest me for my car's contents, right? So it's the station wagon. I'm clearly living out of it. It's got 2 rows, in this case, 2 rows of Jam Boys, Phish stickers all across the back. It's a New York plate in Washington State. So I kind of knew we wanted to be on our best behavior. Now, I've mentioned it before, if you know me, never had a drink, never done a drug. My vice has always been cheeseburgers, basically. Of that, I am guilty. But I I drove the country with abandon. Like, I was begging cops to pull me over with those assumptions I mentioned before, because I knew there was nothing in my car that they could ever get me on. Well, they would get me on something, but it's not till Philly. So it's not till Philly, 12:15, 95. But I'll get to that. So I was always like, I didn't care. You could search my car 10 times if you wanted. In fact, another point in the tour that I'll get to, they did search my car multiple times. Anyway, it was never a concern for me. But now everybody in the car was like, all right, we gotta detox. So, because customs I shouldn't say it was different at the time. It was different at the time. I'm just wondering which was worse, 95 border crossings or 2025, because 9/11 obviously changed a bunch of that shit. Anyway, we drove as close to the border as we could get and found a rest stop, and we weren't the only ones with this idea. Pulled over. This rest area was packed with people going to the show, basically doing the same thing we were doing, which was completely flushing the car, and mostly not my car, but the other people's cars, but bags, pockets, making sure there wasn't even a seed or anything of weed in the car. And literally we had a little dust buster in the car, and they were going through their bags, Cooney's taping bag, vacuuming out pot dust and meticulously pouring over every piece of clothing they had on, every bag they had, because that's all it would take is one seed or something to get found for them to detain us and keep us from the good time rock and roll that we were headed toward. So I remember that being kind of, for me especially, entertaining. Entertaining, just pulling over and I'm just giggling as they're everybody's panicking, right? We did cross the border with no incident. I had crossed the border a bunch growing up in Buffalo. We used to go up to Canada, I don't want to say all the time, but it wasn't that big a deal. But this was different because they knew why everybody was coming up. And so that was I'll never forget that sight of just a string of hippie mobiles, just everybody just on their hands and knees, digging around on the floor in the glove compartment of their cars. It was just, yeah, good times. The Orpheum Theater, I feel lucky I got a chance to see Phish in a setting like this. That's one thing I haven't, this tour was really the last tour, if my memory serves, where they were playing more intimate rooms like this. And it's a totally different experience than seeing them at the Garden or just a big arena or even a big outdoor shed or something. So the previous venues, right? California, all 4 venues were outdoor, so pretty big. And then the Seattle Arena, as I mentioned, pretty standard, mid-size hockey arena, basically, event center kind of thing. And then Portland was the same as that. And then we go up to the Orpheum, and it is just, it's beautiful. This entryway, the big marquee, and this very lavish entryway with all the ornate sort of sculptures and artwork, and like carpeted. And then you go in, and it's a theater. So in the traditional sense, so there's an actual stage, like, built in. They don't have to build the stage, that kind of thing. And those theater seats with like the velvet cushions, balcony, I think 2 balconies, but still it's at probably 2,500. And seeing it'll never happen again. Like, seeing them in a room like that, it hits different. It just does. And they went this little stretch. Tomorrow night is Spokane Opera House, which is a similarly themed room. And then State Palace Theater in New Orleans is one of those. So you're getting, Austin Music Hall was like a literal, like a warehouse almost, like, or a club, right? Just a flat surface with a stage at one end. There was a bar in the back. So I feel really lucky to have seen this band before they got big, if that makes any sense. I'm sure it does make sense. I keep saying that, but fantastic. Just a gorgeous room. It changes the music. I'm convinced of that. It also allowed them, as you can see from my notes, to do some no mics stuff. No mics was hot back in the day. Any room that had what they considered good acoustics, they'd come out and they'd do either some bluegrass stuff or some a cappella stuff with no mics, and which would just prompt most of the audience to shush those who thought it was time to talk to the band. So you probably could hear that as they start playing, like, shh. It's just so ridiculous. But this set, get this Yamar open, stashing the 2-hole, just like another unfinished Reba, Blue and Lonesome, no mics, Free, Boo, Lizard sample, pretty sort of tight first set. Nothing really crazy. They did give you, it was about an hour and 15 minutes, so they're kind of stretching out a little bit time-wise. But the second set was just a whirlwind. I remember the one that sticks out for me, and again, a lot of this, I'm listening to the Tweezer right now. They're just in the intro, the Tweezer, but the NICU, it was the first NICU of the tour. That was a big thing on tour, was what haven't they played yet? And getting the first whatever was big, worth noting. This is the first NICU, and it's one of my favorite versions. Mike hits that flanger where it's just got that underwater sound, which I don't know why he doesn't use it more. It's so good. But that Would you please ding ding dong ding 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 diddly diddly ding ding dong ding 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 diddly diddly. Yeah, and you guys know, and I see you. But he started using that flange. Oh, and it was thumping. And most of the rest of the night, because he brings it back in tweezer, he must have been like, ooh, I like that, because I'm hearing it right now. That kind of thing. So that was a big hit. It was that NICU, getting the first one, and then having Mike really sort of lean into it. You're starting to see those themes, like I talked about rotation, right? And I can talk forever about rotation and how I think they work it as a band in terms of how they determine set lists and things like that. But I won't now. But here you got Suspicious Minds comes back, Ragtime Gal, No Mics, of course, Day in the Life. Like these are fall 95 songs, right? You're gonna get those almost like the new stuff, Billy Breeze, Fog That Surrounds, Jazz Jam, Theme from the Bottom. Okay, I'm gonna add Theme from the Bottom to the Jazz Jam challenge, the Jazz Jam pool. If anyone can guess when I start calling Theme from the Bottom by its actual name, you win. Jazz Jam, when do I figure out it's called Cars, Trucks, Buses? And then when do I figure out that Theme from the Bottom is not Feed from the Bottom? Because they played, as you can see, they played Feed tonight, not Theme. They're the same. Before the NICU, they played Feed. I'm in this tweezer now, and it's so stark how much their jamming, just sort of philosophy has changed. 95 was way less melodic, a lot more dissonance, and I think it was largely based on that they were chasing that tension and release. They're really exploring and trying to understand and harness those moments of tension and release, and they mastered it. I think they mastered it in 95. Now they're so melodic, and it's that they figured it out, right? They figured out improvisation somehow, and I think it goes back to the hay hole exercises they used to do, where they're practicing. One guy plays a theme, and then the four of them pick it up, and as soon as they all have it, they're supposed to say hey, and then filling your own hay hole and those kinds of things. You can hear them doing it on stage now. When this tweezer it's almost like scattered. It feels scattered compared to like contemporary tweezers where I've talked about this a lot lately. There was a lot more searching in the 90s. Moments where I would say, come on, Trey, where's this going? Like, take us somewhere, right? And I rarely say that anymore because every turn is on a dime, and it seems like that it's all figured out, basically. But see, then they'll hit like this tweezer. They found this little groove. So, again, searching. And it's a slave. This slave slays, if you will. So yeah, the big thing this night was that NICU in the tweezer, and the being in Vancouver. Like I said in the notes, too bad I was going to a Phish show because I didn't get to see much of Vancouver. Didn't spend a ton of time there, but yeah, it was a good night. And then tomorrow they're in Spokane Opera House, which you think, oh, it's in Spokane. Well, Spokane is the complete other side of the state to Seattle. It's almost directly east, like the entire span of the state. So that marks our first move back east that would take us down south and up and basically snaking the whole country. So tune in tomorrow when I talk about October 7th, 1995, Spokane Opera House. I'll see you there.